Hey everyone, how's it going? Hope you're doing good. I'm doing great as always. So as you know, if you follow my photography at all, that I really like prime lenses, my 50mm, 24mm, 105mm, and I almost always shoot all of those at 1.4, wide open. I really like bokeh. I'm a bokeh shooter. I just like the feel of it, how it makes it look like it's not shot with an iPhone and things like that. So when I saw the news that Fujifilm would be coming out with a 50mm f1 lens, I must say I was really excited. I really wanted to give it a shot and see what kind of bokeh, what kind of, depth of field it had on it, and just what you can do with an f1 lens. So I emailed my friends over at Fujifilm Japan, and they were ever so kind as to quickly send me one of the lenses. So this is the 50mm f1. You can see the f1 here on the little aperture ring, and it says 50 down below. So this is the real deal. When I first opened the box that they sent me and I first grabbed this lens, I was really surprised by the weight. As soon as you pick up this lens, you know that it's a good build. Lots of really good glass in here. It looks amazing. It's just compared to my other 50mm that I use for my Nikon, this is really an amazing lens. My Nikon Nifty 50 is smaller, less glass. It's cheaper, obviously, but I find these days I find it a little bit too soft, and I'm really hoping that this one, even at f1, it should be a lot sharper than the lens I currently use. I actually went out shooting with this yesterday. I invited my good friend B-Girl Ayu to meet me down in Shibuya. We started there around 4 o'clock when the sun was just coming down, and headed off into the night of Tokyo to get some cool B-girl shots, some portraits and action shots. And I had a few spots in mind when we headed out that might look good with the f1 and all the bokeh. So if I made a quick video of our shooting just to show you how I use the lens and the kind of photos I got. So check that out. And then when that's done, come back here and I will give you my final impressions of the lens, how I thought it worked, maybe some places it could be slightly improved. Yeah, and just we'll maybe go through 1 or 2 photos and show you just how good this lens is at f1. And I should mention as well, the camera that I was using this time is the X-T4. It's Fujifilm's newest X series camera. Great camera. I've used the X series before, so I was quite familiar with how to use it. Beautiful images, really easy to use, nice compact size. I can't say enough about these X cameras. If I had the extra money, no pun intended, I would buy one for sure. These are really beautiful, and I really enjoyed using it last night when we were on a shoot. So yeah, check out the video. It was a lot of fun, and I'm sure you'll see how much I enjoyed using this lens. Nice.
あー、すごい。棚も結構新しいやつで。
いいね。ナイスナイス。かっこいい。2、cool。ここは最初はちょっとね、顔写真撮りたいな。ナイス。ちょっとメッセージ外しましょうか。今すごい良かったです。いいね。まあちょっと人がいないタイミングがあれば、この2人が降りたらいつでもいいよ。ナイス。ナイスナイスナイス。ちょっと斜め。そう、でもちょっと斜めにしてみようかなと思って。ナイス。ナイス。
あー、
まあカメラ目線じゃなくていいんで、足上げましょうか。
アユはこっちから書いてた。いいね。いいね。ちょっと待って、ちょっと待って。もう一回できる？はいよ。ナイス。そう。俺、寝転ぶないか。あ、いいね。あ、いいね。ナイス。いいね。One, two, nice, 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 nice. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, かっこいいね、このマシン。最後。おっさんなの。笑うとこちゃうで。いいね。ナイス。じゃあこのぐらいにしましょう。ありがとうございました。よし。疲れた。
So yeah, as you can see, we really enjoyed our shoot. With the prime lens, it's pretty simple with what you're doing. You know, I just kept it on f1 the whole time, 50mm, can't change that. And I move around, get lower, get around and try to get some cool angles that I could. We started off in Shibuya, as you saw, when the light was coming down. I really wanted to get there later in the day and get that nice evening light, especially when you're shooting f1 on anything. You know, I had to shoot, I think, what are these shots here? F1 at 8,000 at ISO 160. So, you know, you're really pushing your camera to get a good exposure at F1. You really have to get a high shutter speed, low ISO if you're shooting in broad daylight. Otherwise, you're going to have to throw an ND filter on one of these things. And I don't have ND filters. I've never used them. So I made sure that I was there when it was nice light, but not too bright. As you can see in the images, it turned out really cool. I think the camera and the lens did a really, really good job. Overall, you know, this lens I found to be really amazing. Looking at the images on the back of my camera while we were shooting, everything I was getting was on point. The focus was great. Looking at Ayu's face and her eyes and everything like that, it's super sharp. The bokeh is really, really nice when he gets past her, but I found that the depth of field wasn't super severe, even on f1. So, you know, like if I look at one of these images here, just pop up this one, bring it up, and now we'll kind of look at it at full. You know, this is at 100%, and this is at f1. And it's really sharp. You can see even at f1 on 50mm, the focus goes all the way back past her ear and in past her hair. But then as soon as you get into the background, it's super bokeh'd out, which is really nice. It's an effect I really, really like to have. One of the reasons I like to shoot like this, especially in Tokyo, is there's just always so much stuff and so many signs, so many people and that kind of thing. And I really don't like having that stuff show up and really take up the picture a lot. I like to have things really simple and clean. And I find using bokeh like that really helps, especially in Tokyo when I'm in narrow streets and there's just a lot of people all over the place. Yeah, like I can't really... Every time I was shooting with this and looking at it, even at f1, you know, I was super impressed with the sharpness of this, especially compared to, say, my 50mm lens that I use on my Nikon D5. I find it's way too soft now. I would never get this kind of sharpness in her face, and I haven't added any sharpness to this at all. I've edited a little bit, but not really added a whole lot to it. So, you know, you can see it in her earrings, in her hair. Everything around her head is really, really super nice and in focus and sharp, which is something I wouldn't think would be possible with an f1. You'd think that it would get the eye and then everything else would kind of faded off. Maybe if I was right up in her face and super close-up shot, it would look a little more like that, but that's not really what I wanted to do this time. And you can see even in these super low light parts, like this back alley, like I think I was at, you know, I'm at a shutter speed of 125, But I'm only at ISO 800 for this. And as you can see in the video, this is a very dark back street. Really no light that we could use, but throwing on an F1, it really gets the nice light that we could get in there. And the bokeh is amazing. It takes out this entire ugly building behind us and just makes it nice, round, and beautiful light. I really enjoyed shooting with this lens. Like I said, I'm a prime lens user a lot when I'm shooting on my own. If you see my videos, you can see that I really like the 105 and my 50 in that. So, you know, I loved shooting with this. I really, really enjoyed it. The camera was awesome. I had no problems there. This X-T4, great camera. I really enjoyed the flip out window. That I don't have that on my Nikon camera, which I really wish I had, because I like to get on the ground. This is a super helpful thing to have. And yeah, you know, like, I really think we got some cool photos throughout the evening that really utilized this F1 here in the subway as well. You know, we got the blur and the rail going down. She's all in focus, and everything else in the background is bokeh. And it's not so crazy bokeh out that you don't understand that it's a staircase behind her. Still, you can tell what kind of environment that she's in, but it just adds a nice, like, I don't know, nice buttery, really smooth bokeh to the image, and really gets the person you're shooting to stand out a lot, which is what I like to do. Now, saying that, nothing's perfect. There's nothing ever in the world that's perfect. The one thing I did notice, and it's, you know, I'm just trying to find it. Maybe there's a lock on here, but I don't think there is. You'll notice if you use this lens that the aperture ring here is really smooth, and it moves very easily, which is great for when you're trying to adjust it, when you want to adjust it. But there were a couple moments when I was shooting where I thought I was on F1, I set it to F1, but somehow when I was moving around, it kind of moved a little bit to F1.4, or at one point I was up at 2.5, I think. And I noticed, like, wow, the LCD screen is really dark all of a sudden, what's going on? And I took a couple shots and checked the settings, and oh, okay, I'm at, you know, F2.5 or whatever it was. So I put it back down. So, you know, when you're slow shooting and you're not in a rush, it's not really a big deal to just, you know, do it again and put it back down to F1 if you want, or whatever f-stop you're supposed to be at. But every once in a while, like say when I'm rushing in a shoot, I might not notice that these settings have changed because it's not lockable. So, you know, if I could say one thing about the lens that I wish could be better, would just be this would be maybe a little stiffer or lockable. And otherwise, you know, maybe there's something on the camera I can do to lock it, but I'm not a Fujifilm shooter, so I'm not sure. But I don't see anything on the lens itself. This is an amazing lens. Using it myself for about 4 or 5 hours, I absolutely loved it. I love how the photos came out. I love how we got great focus on everything with the camera. You know, you got good depth of field, even though it's F1 and her face is sharp, or even her hair is sharp and everything like that. But then the bokeh is just amazing. So, you know, 9.5 out of 10 for sure. Yeah, I'm just lazy, so I don't check my settings all that often, so I make mistakes like that. But it's just, this is the one thing that I would check, or I would fix, or just be aware of while you're shooting with this lens, is that the aperture, it's smooth, which is what you need, but it can, if you're moving it around a little bit on your own, unaware, it can change while you're shooting. So just be aware of that, that's all. You know, other than that, like I said, about 5 times already, I think, great lens. I super wish I could buy this camera as like a second setup. I would use this all the time. I love shooting on 50mm, but I don't really use my 50mm on my Nikon all that much anymore, just because I find it so much softer than my 105 1.4. And this Fujifilm F1 is comparable to my 105 1.4 Nikon for sure. Super crisp, super sharp. I think it's what everyone wants to get. And I think if you pick this up, no matter, you know, if you're doing kind of action stuff like I was doing, or portrait photography, it's a beautiful lens, and you won't regret buying this at all. It's awesome. So yeah, check it out. Maybe give it a rental, or check it out in the shop before you do buy it. But I love it, and I wish I could buy it myself. So yeah, that's today's video. I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope you enjoyed the session I had yesterday with B-Girl Ayu. As always, if you have any comments or questions, hit me up the link below. I always like hearing you guys' comments and answering as much as I can. And yeah, thanks. Cheers for sticking around for the end, and talk to you soon.